Welcome back to English Mind Journey. I'm Lina, and today we're going to take your English vocabulary to a truly advanced level. This lesson is not just out learning difficult words. It is about learning how to choose words with precision, emotion, and confidence. At the C2 level, vocabulary helps you express not only what happened, but also what you felt, what you noticed, and what you truly meant. For example, instead of saying, it was a good day, you could say, it was a fulfilling day. The word fulfilling gives your sentence more emotional depth. It suggests that the day gave you satisfaction, meaning, or a sense of purpose. Instead of saying, I'm tired, you might say, I feel drained. Drained sounds stronger and more expressive. It shows that you are physically or emotionally exhausted. Let's practice a few simple but powerful sentences. I had a fulfilling day. I feel drained after such a long week. Her speech was incredibly inspiring. These sentences are not complicated, but the vocabulary makes them sound more mature and natural. At an advanced level, fluency is not about speaking quickly. It is about speaking clearly, accurately, and expressively. The right word can completely change the feeling of a sentence. For example, angry and furious are similar, but they are not exactly the same. Angry can sound general, while furious shows intense emotion. In the same way, happy can become elated, sad can become devastated, and surprised can become astonished. If you passed an important exam, you could say, I was elated when I saw the result. If a close friend moved far away, you might say, I was devastated when she left. And if you saw something completely unexpected, you could say, I was absolutely astonished. Advanced vocabulary allows you to express emotions with greater accuracy. It adds color, nuance, and personality to your English. Another important part of C2 English is understanding nuance. Nuance means the small difference in meaning, tone, or feeling between words. For example, brave and courageous are close in meaning, but they feel slightly different. Brave often describes a specific action. Courageous can describe a deeper quality of character. You might say, she was brave to speak up in the meeting, but you could also say, he is a courageous leader. Both are correct, but they create different impressions. Now, let's upgrade some common sentences. Instead of saying, he made a big change, you could say, he made a drastic change. Instead of saying, she is a very good student, you could say, she is an exceptional student, or she is an outstanding student. Small vocabulary upgrades like these make your English sound more polished and confident. Let's continue with some useful expressions for everyday conversation. Instead of saying, I don't know, you can say, I'm not quite sure. Instead of saying, I don't like it, you can say, it doesn't really appeal to me. Instead of saying, I'm busy, you can say, I'm occupied at the moment. These expressions sound more natural, polite, and fluent. Imagine someone asks you, did you like the movie? A simple answer would be, it was good. But a more advanced answer might be, it was thought-provoking, although it wasn't exactly my taste. This kind of response shows that you can express opinions with depth and balance. Another useful phrase is, it's open to interpretation. This means something can be understood in more than one way. For example, if someone asks what a poem means, you could say, the meaning is open to interpretation. At the C2 level, you do not simply give basic answers. You express ideas with flexibility, subtlety, and confidence. Now let's practice upgrading simple words. Good can become remarkable. Bad can become unacceptable. Happy can become content or elated. Interesting can become intriguing. Careful can become meticulous. Unclear can become ambiguous. Certain to happen can become inevitable. The goal is not to use advanced words to impress people. The goal is to express your exact meaning. When you reach this level, you stop translating from your native language. You begin to think directly in English. To make these words part of your active vocabulary, choose 5 new words from today's lesson and use them in your own sentences. For example, today was an exceptional day. I felt elated after finishing my project. The feedback I received was remarkable. By the evening, I was completely drained, but I still felt fulfilled. This is how vocabulary becomes real. You connect words to your life, your feelings, and your daily experiences. Now let's learn another important word: meticulous. Meticulous means extremely careful and detailed. You can say, she is a meticulous planner. This means she pays close attention to every detail. You can also say, the report was written with meticulous attention to detail, or he is meticulous about his work. This word is useful in professional English, academic writing, and everyday descriptions. Another powerful word is inevitable. It means something that is certain to happen. For example, change is inevitable, or with so much rain, flooding was inevitable. You can also use it in a more reflective way. Failure is sometimes inevitable, but it teaches valuable lessons. Inevitable gives your sentence a calm and thoughtful tone. Next, let's look at ambiguous. Ambiguous means unclear or having more than one possible meaning. You could say, his message was ambiguous. This means you are not completely sure what he meant. Or, the ending of the movie was ambiguous. That means the ending could be understood in different ways. Advanced speakers often use words like ambiguous because real life is not always simple or clear. Sometimes we need words that express complexity. Now let's look at inefficient. It means something wastes time, energy, or resources. Instead of saying the system is bad, you could say, the system is inefficient. Instead of saying his method is slow, you could say, his approach is inefficient. This sounds more precise and professional. The opposite is efficient, which means something works well without wasting time or effort. For example, the new system is much more efficient. Or, we need an efficient solution. Now let's explore the word profound. Profound means deep, meaningful, or emotionally powerful. You can say, that experience had a profound impact on me. Or, she shared a profound insight. Or, there was a profound silence in the room. Profound is a beautiful word because it adds emotional and intellectual depth to your sentence. Imagine describing a teacher who changed your life. Instead of saying, she was very smart, you could say, she was a profound thinker who inspired everyone around her. If you were describing a book, you might say, the book left a profound impression on me. This is how advanced vocabulary helps you speak with more depth and elegance. As your English becomes more advanced, vocabulary is no longer just about individual words. It becomes a tool that allows you to express ideas with greater precision, confidence, and sophistication. Let's continue by exploring several powerful words that frequently appear in professional, academic, and everyday conversations. One useful word is assertive. An assertive person expresses opinions clearly and confidently without being aggressive or disrespectful. For example, she was assertive during the meeting and explained her ideas clearly. You could also say, you need to be more assertive when discussing your goals. Notice that being assertive is positive. It reflects confidence, self-respect, and effective communication. Another valuable word is versatile. Versatile describes someone or something that can adapt to different situations or perform multiple functions successfully. For example, she's a versatile musician who can play several instruments. Or, this software is incredibly versatile and can be used for many purposes. The more versatile your vocabulary becomes, the easier it is to communicate complex ideas naturally. Now, let's combine these words in context. Imagine a professional employee who can manage projects, solve problems, and communicate effectively. You might describe that person as, she is both assertive and versatile, making her an important member of the team. These word combinations help create richer and more detailed descriptions. Let's move on to another important adjective, substantial. Substantial means large, significant, or meaningful in size, amount, or importance. Examples include, he made a substantial contribution to the project. The company reported substantial growth this year. I had a substantial breakfast before leaving home. Although the contexts are different, the word consistently suggests something considerable and important. A closely related word is significant. While substantial often focuses on size or quantity, significant emphasizes importance or impact. For example, there has been a significant improvement in her performance. The discovery was significant for modern science. Understanding these subtle distinctions helps you communicate more accurately. Now, let's examine another essential word for advanced English users, comprehensive. Comprehensive means complete, thorough, and covering all important aspects of a topic. For example, the report provides a comprehensive analysis of the issue. She gave a comprehensive explanation that answered every question. We need a comprehensive strategy before making a decision. This word is extremely common in business, education, and professional communication. One of the biggest differences between intermediate and advanced speakers is the ability to choose contextually appropriate vocabulary. Instead of simply learning definitions, advanced learners learn how words function in real situations. Let's explore some vocabulary connected to personal growth and self-development. The first word is resilient. A resilient person can recover quickly from challenges, setbacks, or difficult situations. For example, she remained resilient despite numerous obstacles. Children are often more resilient than adults realize. Successful people are rarely those who never fail. They are usually the people who recover and continue moving forward. Closely connected to resilience is perseverance. Perseverance means continuing to work toward a goal even when progress feels slow or difficult. For example, through perseverance, he eventually achieved his dream. Learning a language requires patience and perseverance. Resilience helps you recover. Perseverance helps you continue. Together, these qualities create long-term success. Now, let's explore several sophisticated communication verbs. One important verb is imply. To imply something means to suggest it indirectly rather than state it openly. For example, she implied that she was unhappy with the decision. His tone implied that further changes were necessary. Advanced communication often relies on implication rather than direct statements. Another useful verb is convey. Convey means to communicate an idea, feeling, or message. Examples include, her smile conveyed warmth and kindness. The article conveys an important message. He struggled to convey his emotions clearly. Notice that convey often refers to communication beyond simple words. Let's add another powerful verb, articulate. To articulate means to express ideas clearly and effectively. For example, she articulated her argument extremely well. He struggled to articulate his thoughts under pressure. The ability to articulate ideas clearly is a key feature of advanced fluency. Now, imagine a business presentation. A confident speaker might articulate a vision clearly, convey enthusiasm to the audience, imply future opportunities without making unrealistic promises. This combination of vocabulary allows you to describe communication with greater precision. Next, let's look at the adjective insightful. Insightful describes comments, observations, or ideas that demonstrate deep understanding. For example, that was an insightful observation. Her analysis of the problem was highly insightful. Insightful people often notice details others overlook. Another valuable academic word is elaborate. To elaborate means to explain something in greater detail. For example, could you elaborate on that point? She elaborated on her proposal during the discussion. Advanced speakers frequently use this word in meetings, presentations, and formal conversations. Now, let's examine the verb implement. Implement means to put a plan, strategy, or idea into action. For example, the organization implemented a new training program. We need to implement these changes immediately. Many people have good ideas, but successful people implement them. Now, let's shift toward vocabulary related to growth and progress. The verb transform means to change something dramatically. Examples include education can transform lives. The experience transformed his perspective. Technology has transformed the way we communicate. A related verb is evolve. Unlike transform, which often suggests dramatic change, evolve usually refers to gradual development over time. For example, the company evolved over several decades. Her thinking evolved as she gained experience. Languages constantly evolve. Understanding this distinction helps you describe change more accurately. Another useful adjective is innovative. Innovative means introducing original ideas or creative solutions. For example, the company developed an innovative product. She is known for her innovative approach to problem solving. Innovation often drives progress and growth. Now, let's practice connecting several of these words together. Consider this example. The company evolved from a small startup into an innovative industry leader. Through perseverance and strategic planning, the team implemented new ideas that transformed the organization. Notice how multiple advanced words work together naturally. Let's move into emotional intelligence vocabulary. One important adjective is empathetic. An empathetic person understands and shares the feelings of others. For example, she's an empathetic manager who genuinely cares about her team. Empathetic leaders build trust and stronger relationships. Closely related is the noun empathy. Empathy allows people to connect on a deeper level. Another useful adjective is intuitive. Intuitive describes understanding that comes naturally rather than through deliberate analysis. For example, she has an intuitive understanding of human behavior. His decision felt intuitive rather than logical. Intuition often develops through experience and observation. Imagine someone leading a team effectively. You might say, she is both empathetic and intuitive, which helps her understand people and make effective decisions. This kind of vocabulary allows you to describe personality with much greater sophistication. As your vocabulary grows, you'll notice an important shift. You will spend less time translating from your native language and more time thinking directly in English. Instead of searching for simple words, your mind will naturally choose more precise expressions. That is one of the clearest signs of advanced fluency. The goal is not to sound complicated. The goal is to sound accurate. Advanced vocabulary gives you more options, more flexibility, and more control over how you express your thoughts. And the more often you use these words in real conversations, writing exercises, and daily reflections, the more naturally they become part of your English. Remember, fluency is not built through memorization alone. It is built through repeated exposure, meaningful practice, and consistent use. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to strengthen your vocabulary. Every book becomes a source of new expressions, and every sentence you create helps transform passive knowledge into active fluency. As you continue developing advanced English skills, you begin to notice something interesting. Fluency is no longer just about grammar or sentence structure. It becomes increasingly connected to the quality of your vocabulary. The words you choose shape how people perceive your ideas, emotions, and personality. In this section, we'll explore vocabulary that helps you express complex thoughts, describe experiences vividly, and communicate with greater sophistication. Let's begin with the adjective compelling. Something compelling captures your attention so strongly that it becomes difficult to ignore. For example, the documentary presented a compelling argument. Her life story was incredibly compelling. The speaker delivered a compelling presentation that kept the audience engaged from beginning to end. A compelling idea does more than inform. It persuades, inspires, or emotionally connects with people. Now, let's explore another powerful adjective, intricate. Intricate means highly detailed, complex, and carefully constructed. For example, the artist created an intricate design using thousands of tiny patterns. The novel contains an intricate plot with multiple storylines. Human relationships can be surprisingly intricate. This word is particularly useful when discussing art, architecture, technology, systems, or complex situations. When you use intricate, you emphasize the richness and complexity of something. Next, let's examine subtle. Subtle describes something delicate, understated, or not immediately obvious. For example, there was a subtle change in her tone. The painting contains subtle details that many people overlook. The difference between confidence and arrogance can be quite subtle. Advanced English speakers frequently use this word because life often involves shades of meaning rather than simple black and white distinctions. Understanding subtle differences is a hallmark of mature communication. Now, let's explore three emotionally rich words: sincere, genuine, and authentic. Although these words are similar, they each carry a slightly different meaning. Sincere refers to honest feelings or intentions. For example, she offered a sincere apology. His gratitude seemed completely sincere. Genuine emphasizes something that is real rather than fake. Examples include, he's a genuine friend. Her concern for others is genuine. Authentic often refers to being true to oneself. For example, she remained authentic despite external pressure. People appreciate authentic leadership. Authentic communication creates trust. Together, these words help express emotional honesty and integrity. Now let's move to intellectual vocabulary. One useful adjective is perceptive. A perceptive person notices details, patterns, and meanings that others may miss. For example, she made a perceptive observation during the discussion. He's an extremely perceptive listener. Perceptive individuals often understand people and situations very quickly. A related word is astute. Astute also suggests intelligence, but often emphasizes practical judgment and strategic thinking. For example, the investor made an astute decision. Her astute analysis helped solve the problem. Successful leaders are often both perceptive and astute. Perceptive helps you notice important information. Astute helps you use that information wisely. Let's continue with three words that describe interest and fascination: intriguing, captivating, and fascinating. Although all three suggest strong interest, they create slightly different impressions. Something intriguing sparks curiosity. For example, that's an intriguing idea. The mystery remains intriguing. Captivating suggests complete attention and engagement. Examples include her performance was captivating. The audience found his speech captivating. Fascinating suggests deep intellectual or emotional interest. For example, the research findings were fascinating. Ancient civilizations are fascinating to study. Learning the distinctions between these words helps make your descriptions more precise. Now let's explore the verb contemplate. To contemplate means to think deeply and carefully about something. For example, she contemplated her future career options. He sat quietly, contemplating the meaning of success. I need time to contemplate this decision. Contemplation suggests thoughtful reflection rather than quick judgment. Advanced speakers frequently use this word when discussing personal growth, philosophy, or important decisions. Now, let's move into vocabulary often used to describe refinement and elegance. The adjective sophisticated is extremely versatile. Sophisticated can describe people, ideas, systems, technology, fashion, or communication. For example, she has sophisticated taste in art. The software uses a sophisticated algorithm. His writing style is sophisticated and engaging. Sophisticated suggests complexity, refinement, and maturity. Another beautiful word is eloquent. Eloquent describes speech or writing that is both effective and graceful. For example, she delivered an eloquent speech. His response was simple yet eloquent. The author writes with remarkable eloquence. Being eloquent is not about using difficult words. It is about expressing ideas clearly, elegantly, and persuasively. Now, let's combine several of these words in context. Imagine describing an inspiring public speaker. You might say, she is an eloquent communicator with a sophisticated understanding of human behavior. Her speeches are compelling, insightful, and often thought-provoking. Notice how advanced vocabulary allows descriptions to become richer and more precise. Let's now shift toward words that help create imagery and atmosphere. The first word is serene. Serene means calm, peaceful, and free from disturbance. For example, the lake looked serene at sunrise. She maintained a serene expression throughout the conversation. After meditation, he felt calm and serene. Serene often describes environments, emotions, or states of mind. A similar word is tranquil. Tranquil also means peaceful but often emphasizes natural beauty and quietness. For example, the garden felt tranquil in the early morning. We enjoyed a tranquil weekend in the countryside. Although serene and tranquil are similar, tranquil often creates a stronger connection to peaceful surroundings. Now let's explore majestic. Majestic describes something grand, impressive, or awe-inspiring. For example, the mountains appeared majestic against the horizon. The cathedral's architecture was majestic. The eagle looked majestic as it soared through the sky. This word helps transform ordinary descriptions into vivid images. Instead of saying something is very beautiful, you can often describe it as majestic. Let's now explore a few more advanced intellectual concepts. The noun notion refers to an idea, belief, or concept. For example, I reject the notion that success happens overnight. The notion of freedom varies across cultures. That's an interesting notion. Using notion often makes your language sound more thoughtful and analytical. Another fascinating word is paradox. A paradox appears contradictory but contains an important truth. For example, it's a paradox that failure often leads to success. The more knowledge we gain, the more we realize how much remains unknown. Life is full of paradoxes. Paradoxes encourage deeper thinking because they challenge simple assumptions. Now let's look at ambivalent. Ambivalent means having mixed or conflicting feelings. For example, she's ambivalent about accepting the job offer. I feel ambivalent about moving abroad. He seemed ambivalent despite receiving good news. This word is extremely useful because human emotions are often complicated. Advanced vocabulary helps capture those complexities. Let's continue with analytical. An analytical person approaches problems logically and systematically. For example, she has a highly analytical mind. The report provides an analytical examination of the issue. Engineers often develop strong analytical skills. Analytical thinking is highly valued in professional and academic environments. Another important word is perspective. Perspective refers to a particular way of viewing or understanding something. For example, traveling gave me a new perspective on life. Let's consider the issue from another perspective. His perspective changed after the experience. Advanced communicators understand that multiple perspectives often exist simultaneously. Now, let's explore three practical communication words: precise, accurate, and concise. Precise means exact and carefully expressed. For example, please provide precise instructions. Accurate means correct and free from error. For example, the information appears accurate. Concise means brief, while still containing all necessary information. For example, her explanation was concise and effective. Strong communicators strive to be precise, accurate, and concise. These qualities improve both speaking and writing. Let's finish this section with a short reflection. As your vocabulary expands, your ability to think in English also grows. Words like compelling, intricate, perceptive, sophisticated, and eloquent do more than increase your vocabulary size. They allow you to express ideas with greater depth. Words like serene, tranquil, majestic, and captivating help you create vivid images. Words like perspective, paradox, analytical, and contemplate help you explore complex ideas. And words like authentic, sincere, and genuine help you communicate emotional truth. This is one of the most exciting stages of language learning. You are no longer simply learning English. You are learning how to express yourself with clarity, nuance, elegance, and confidence. Every new word becomes another tool that helps transform thoughts into meaningful communication. And that transformation is one of the clearest signs that you are moving toward true advanced fluency. As your command of English continues to develop, you begin to discover that language is more than a communication tool. It becomes a way to express values, experiences, emotions, and personal growth. In this section, we will focus on a collection of advanced words that frequently appear in discussions about leadership, self-improvement, resilience, and human potential. Let's begin with the verb resonate. When something resonates with you, it creates a strong emotional or intellectual connection. For example, her story resonated with me deeply. The message resonated with people around the world. His words continue to resonate years later. Unlike simply understanding an idea, resonance implies that something leaves a lasting impact. A song can resonate with your memories. A book can resonate with your beliefs. A conversation can resonate with your life experiences. This word adds emotional depth to your communication. Now, let's explore authenticity. Authenticity refers to the quality of being genuine, honest, and true to yourself. For example, authenticity builds trust. People appreciate leaders who demonstrate authenticity. Her authenticity made her easy to connect with. In today's world, authenticity is highly valued because people often seek sincerity rather than perfection. Authenticity allows communication to feel natural rather than artificial. It creates credibility and emotional connection. Next, let's examine a powerful word associated with creativity and innovation: ingenuity. Ingenuity means cleverness, originality, and the ability to solve problems creatively. For example, human ingenuity has transformed society. Her ingenuity helped the team overcome significant challenges. The solution demonstrated remarkable ingenuity. This word is especially useful in business, technology, engineering, and entrepreneurship. When someone displays ingenuity, they find innovative ways to overcome obstacles. Now, let's look at the verb alleviate. Alleviate means to reduce or lessen something unpleasant. For example, exercise can alleviate stress. The medicine helped alleviate the pain. Community support can alleviate feelings of isolation. This word often appears in professional, academic, and healthcare contexts. Instead of saying reduce repeatedly, advanced speakers frequently use alleviate when discussing problems, pressure, discomfort, or suffering. Closely connected is another useful verb: elevate. Elevate means to raise, improve, or lift something to a higher level. For example, education can elevate opportunities. The experience elevated her confidence. Strong leadership elevates team performance. Notice the contrast. You alleviate difficulties. You elevate potential. Both words frequently appear in motivational and professional discussions. Now, let's move to reinforce. To reinforce something means to strengthen or support it. For example, positive habits reinforce long-term success. The evidence reinforces our conclusion. Regular practice reinforces learning. This word is extremely useful because it applies to ideas, behaviors, beliefs, habits, systems, and relationships. Strong communication often reinforces trust. Consistent effort reinforces improvement. Experience reinforces understanding. Now let's explore a word that describes life's challenges: adversity. Adversity refers to difficulties, hardships, or challenging circumstances. For example, she remained positive despite adversity. Adversity often reveals true character. Many successful people grew stronger through adversity. Advanced English often uses adversity to discuss challenges in a thoughtful and respectful way. Rather than focusing only on problems, it emphasizes personal growth through difficulty. This leads naturally to another important word: resilience. Resilience is the ability to recover from setbacks and continue moving forward. For example, resilience is essential for long-term success. He demonstrated remarkable resilience after losing his job. Children often display surprising resilience. Resilience and adversity frequently appear together because adversity tests resilience. The greater the challenge, the greater the opportunity to develop resilience. Now let's examine one of the most powerful emotional words in the English language: gratitude. Gratitude means appreciation for the people, experiences, or opportunities in your life. For example, she expressed gratitude for their support. Practicing gratitude improves well-being. Gratitude helps us focus on what we have rather than what we lack. Unlike simple thankfulness, gratitude often carries deeper emotional meaning. It reflects awareness, appreciation, and perspective. Many successful people intentionally cultivate gratitude because it encourages positivity and emotional balance. Another valuable word is composure. Composure refers to calmness and self-control, particularly in difficult situations. For example, she maintained her composure during the crisis. His composure impressed everyone in the room. Strong leaders often display composure under pressure. Composure does not mean the absence of emotion. Instead, it means managing emotions effectively. When challenges arise, composure allows people to think clearly and make better decisions. Now let's move toward achievement-oriented vocabulary. The noun endeavor refers to a serious effort or undertaking. For example, learning a language is a rewarding endeavor. The scientific endeavor took many years to complete. Every meaningful endeavor requires patience and persistence. This word is often used in formal writing and professional contexts. An endeavor suggests commitment and purpose rather than a simple task. Closely related is dedication. Dedication refers to strong commitment and consistent effort. For example, her dedication to excellence inspired her colleagues. Success often requires years of dedication. Dedication separates interest from commitment. Many people want results. Dedicated people consistently work toward them. Let's combine these concepts. Every worthwhile endeavor requires dedication. Every long-term goal demands persistence. Every meaningful achievement involves sacrifice and effort. Now, let's explore one of the most inspiring words in advanced English: mastery. Mastery refers to complete understanding or exceptional skill in a particular area. For example, language mastery takes time and practice. He achieved mastery through years of effort. Mastery requires continuous learning. An important lesson about mastery is that it is rarely a destination. True masters continue learning long after they become highly skilled. Mastery is a process rather than a final achievement. Let's now connect several of the words we have learned. Imagine someone pursuing a challenging goal. You might describe their journey like this: despite adversity, they remained resilient. Their dedication reinforced their progress. They approached every challenge with ingenuity and composure. Over time, their efforts elevated their abilities and brought them closer to mastery. Notice how these advanced words work together naturally. Now let's explore several deeper concepts related to personal development. One important truth is that growth often begins with discomfort. Challenges can alleviate weaknesses by forcing us to improve. Difficult experiences can elevate our perspective. Adversity can strengthen resilience. Reflection can reinforce wisdom. And gratitude can transform how we interpret life's experiences. This is why advanced vocabulary often reflects advanced thinking. The language we use influences how we understand ourselves and the world around us. Consider the difference between saying, "I had a problem," and saying, "I faced adversity that strengthened my resilience." The second sentence communicates far more depth, meaning, and perspective. This is one of the reasons vocabulary development is so valuable. It expands not only your ability to communicate, but also your ability to think. Let's practice a short reflection. Success is rarely immediate. It requires dedication, resilience, and continuous effort. Obstacles will appear. Adversity is inevitable. Yet every challenge contains an opportunity for growth. When we approach difficulties with composure, gratitude, and determination, we discover strengths we never knew we possessed. Our experiences reinforce our character, our efforts elevate our abilities, and over time, small improvements accumulate into mastery. This is the mindset behind advanced fluency as well. Language learning is not simply about memorizing vocabulary. It is about persistence. It is about showing up every day. It is about maintaining dedication even when progress feels slow. Some days you will feel confident. Some days you will struggle. But every conversation, every book, every lesson, and every mistake contributes to your development. With enough consistency, improvement becomes unavoidable. The vocabulary you learn today becomes the confidence you feel tomorrow. And eventually, what once felt difficult becomes natural. That is how mastery is built, not through perfection, but through resilience, dedication, and continuous growth. As you continue expanding your vocabulary, remember that words are more than definitions. They are tools for understanding life, expressing ideas, and connecting with others. The more precisely you can express yourself, the more effectively you can share your experiences, values, and aspirations. And that is one of the greatest rewards of advanced English. As your English reaches a higher level, vocabulary becomes more than a collection of words. It becomes a way of expressing reflection, beauty, emotion, and deeper understanding. In this part, we will explore a group of advanced words often found in literature, philosophy, personal development, and thoughtful conversations. These words allow you to describe experiences that are difficult to capture with ordinary language. Let's begin with one of the most beautiful words in English: serendipity. Serendipity refers to the occurrence of something fortunate, valuable, or pleasant that happens unexpectedly. For example, meeting my closest friend was pure serendipity. Their partnership began through a moment of serendipity. Sometimes life's greatest opportunities arrive through serendipity. Unlike luck, serendipity often carries a sense of meaningful coincidence. It suggests that something wonderful happened when you were not actively searching for it. Many memorable experiences begin this way: a chance conversation, an unexpected encounter, a surprising opportunity. All can become examples of serendipity. Now, let's explore another elegant word: ephemeral. Ephemeral describes something that lasts for only a short period of time. For example, the beauty of the sunset was ephemeral. Childhood is ephemeral, yet unforgettable. Fashion trends are often ephemeral. This word is frequently used in literature because it captures an important truth about life. Many beautiful moments are temporary. The moment passes, the experience ends, yet the memory remains. Ephemeral reminds us to appreciate what exists today because it may not last forever. Closely related is another powerful word: epiphany. An epiphany is a sudden realization or moment of insight. For example, she had an epiphany while traveling abroad. Reading the book led to an important epiphany. His epiphany changed the direction of his life. Unlike ordinary understanding, an epiphany often arrives unexpectedly. It can completely transform how you view yourself, your goals, or the world around you. Many people describe pivotal moments in life as epiphanies. Now, let's move to another influential word: catalyst. A catalyst is something that triggers significant change or development. For example, the experience became a catalyst for personal growth. The conversation served as a catalyst for innovation. Failure can sometimes become a catalyst for success. A catalyst creates movement. It initiates transformation. It turns possibility into action. In both personal and professional contexts, catalysts often shape major life changes. Now, let's connect these ideas together. Sometimes a moment of serendipity becomes a catalyst for change. That change leads to an epiphany, and that epiphany transforms your future. This is why advanced vocabulary often feels interconnected. Words do not exist in isolation, they create meaning together. Let's continue with another important word: essence. Essence refers to the fundamental nature or most important quality of something. For example, curiosity is the essence of learning. Trust is the essence of strong relationships. At its essence, leadership is about service. When you discuss the essence of something, you focus on what matters most. You strip away unnecessary details and identify the core truth. This word is frequently used in philosophy, writing, and thoughtful discussion. Now let's explore a peaceful and reflective word: tranquility. Tranquility means a state of calmness, peace, and quiet. For example, the forest offered a sense of tranquility. Meditation helps create tranquility. After the storm, tranquility returned. Unlike simple silence, tranquility suggests emotional calmness as well as physical peace. It describes harmony within both the environment and the mind. A related concept is solitude. Solitude refers to being alone in a positive and meaningful way. For example, she enjoys solitude because it allows her to think clearly. Many writers seek solitude when creating their work. Solitude provides space for reflection. It is important to distinguish solitude from loneliness. Loneliness is usually unwanted. Solitude is often chosen. Loneliness can feel empty. Solitude can feel enriching. Advanced speakers frequently use this distinction when discussing personal growth and self-awareness. Now, let's move into a more emotional word, melancholy. Melancholy describes a gentle, thoughtful sadness. For example, the old photographs filled him with melancholy. There was a touch of melancholy in her voice. Autumn often inspires feelings of melancholy. Unlike despair, melancholy is usually reflective rather than overwhelming. It often contains beauty. It allows us to appreciate memories, change, and the passage of time. Many poets and authors use melancholy to describe emotional depth. Closely connected is another comforting word, solace. Solace means comfort during difficult times. For example, she found solace in music. Nature provided solace after a stressful period. His friends offered solace during his loss. When people seek solace, they search for peace, comfort, or emotional healing. Books can provide solace. Conversations can provide solace. Even silence can provide solace. Now, let's connect several of these concepts together. A person might seek solitude after a difficult experience. During that solitude, they may experience melancholy. Yet within that reflection, they discover solace. And through that process, they gain wisdom. This is how advanced vocabulary helps describe emotional experiences with greater precision. Now let's explore one of the most powerful emotional words in English, awe. Awe refers to a feeling of wonder, admiration, and respect. For example, the mountain range filled us with awe. She listened in awe to the inspiring story. The discoveries of science often inspire awe. Awe is larger than simple admiration. It occurs when we encounter something extraordinary, something that feels bigger than ourselves, something that expands our perspective. People often experience awe when observing nature, art, achievement, or acts of courage. Closely related is the word reverence. Reverence means deep respect, admiration, or appreciation. For example, he spoke about his mentor with reverence. The audience listened in reverent silence. Many cultures show reverence toward wisdom and tradition. Reverence carries a sense of humility. It acknowledges value and significance. Where awe often focuses on wonder, reverence focuses on respect. Together, they create a powerful emotional combination. You may feel awe when witnessing greatness. You may feel reverence when honoring it. Now, let's pause and reflect. Consider how these words describe experiences that basic vocabulary often cannot fully capture. Serendipity describes unexpected blessings. Ephemeral captures the temporary nature of life. Epiphany describes sudden understanding. Catalyst represents transformative change. Essence identifies what truly matters. Tranquility and solitude create space for reflection. Melancholy and solace help us understand emotional depth. Awe and reverence connect us to something greater than ourselves. This is one of the most fascinating aspects of advanced English. As your vocabulary expands, your ability to understand human experience expands as well. You gain access to words that describe subtle emotions. Words that capture complex thoughts. Words that transform ordinary communication into meaningful expression. Let's finish with a short reflection. Life is filled with moments of serendipity. Many of them seem insignificant at first, yet some become catalysts for extraordinary change. The moments themselves may be ephemeral, but the lessons they teach can last a lifetime. During periods of solitude, we often gain clarity. Moments of melancholy remind us to appreciate what once was. Solace helps us heal, tranquility helps us grow, and through awe and reverence, we recognize the beauty that exists all around us. When language allows us to express these experiences accurately, communication becomes something greater than information. It becomes understanding, it becomes connection, and ultimately, it becomes wisdom. That is the true power of advanced vocabulary. Not simply knowing more words, but having the ability to express life more completely. As your English grows more advanced, you begin to discover that some experiences are difficult to describe with ordinary language. Certain emotions, memories, and moments seem larger than words themselves. This is where truly advanced vocabulary becomes valuable. It gives you the ability to express ideas that are subtle, profound, and deeply human. Let's begin with a remarkable word: ineffable. Ineffable describes something so extraordinary, beautiful, or emotional that it cannot be fully expressed in words. For example, the beauty of the night sky felt ineffable. She experienced an ineffable sense of peace. Some moments are so meaningful that they become ineffable. This word acknowledges the limitations of language. Sometimes words are not enough. Sometimes the experience itself is greater than any description we can create. Advanced speakers often use ineffable when discussing art, spirituality, nature, or powerful emotions. Now let's move to another elegant word: luminous. Luminous literally means shining or giving off light. However, it can also describe intelligence, beauty, character, or inspiration. For example, the city looked luminous at night. Her smile was luminous. He gave a luminous explanation that made everything clear. Luminous often creates vivid imagery. It helps readers and listeners visualize brightness, warmth, and positivity. A luminous person may not simply appear bright, they may inspire others through their presence. Now, let's explore a word associated with beauty and refinement. Exquisite. Exquisite means exceptionally beautiful, delicate, or skillfully made. For example, the restaurant served exquisite food. The artist created an exquisite masterpiece. Her attention to detail was exquisite. Unlike beautiful, exquisite emphasizes exceptional quality. It suggests elegance, sophistication, and careful craftsmanship. Advanced speakers frequently use this word when describing art, music, architecture, experiences, or taste. Next, let's examine the adjective ardent. Ardent describes intense enthusiasm, passion, or devotion. For example, she is an ardent supporter of environmental protection. He remained an ardent learner throughout his life. They shared an ardent passion for literature. Ardent conveys energy and commitment. It suggests that someone cares deeply about a cause, idea, or pursuit. Passion often drives achievement, and ardent individuals frequently inspire others through their dedication. Now, let's shift toward vocabulary that describes kindness and generosity. The first word is benevolent. Benevolent means kind, compassionate, and well-intentioned. For example, she was known as a benevolent leader. The organization was founded by benevolent donors. His actions reflected a benevolent spirit. Benevolence goes beyond simple kindness. It suggests a sincere desire to improve the lives of others. Many admired leaders are remembered not only for their achievements, but also for their benevolence. A related word is magnanimous. Magnanimous describes generosity, forgiveness, and nobility of character, especially when dealing with criticism, conflict, or victory. For example, he was magnanimous in victory. She remained magnanimous despite being treated unfairly. A magnanimous person chooses understanding over resentment. This word often appears when discussing leadership, emotional intelligence, and maturity. It suggests strength combined with grace. Now, let's explore one of the most powerful transformation words in English: metamorphosis. Metamorphosis refers to a complete transformation or profound change. For example, the caterpillar undergoes a metamorphosis into a butterfly. The experience triggered a personal metamorphosis. His mindset experienced a gradual metamorphosis over time. This word is frequently used as a metaphor for personal growth. People evolve, beliefs change, perspectives expand. And through experience, individuals undergo their own metamorphosis. Closely connected is the verb transcend. To transcend means to rise above limitations, difficulties, or boundaries. For example, she transcended her fears and pursued her dream. Art can transcend language. Human compassion transcends cultural differences. Transcend is a powerful word because it suggests growth beyond ordinary constraints. It is not simply about overcoming obstacles. It is about reaching a higher level of understanding or capability. Now let's move into a group of reflective verbs. The first is recollect. Recollect means to remember something clearly, often with emotional significance. For example, I recollect that day vividly. She recollected her childhood with affection. He paused to recollect important details. Recollection often carries a sense of reflection. It is not merely remembering facts, it is revisiting experiences and the emotions connected to them. Another thoughtful verb is ponder. To ponder means to think deeply and carefully about something. For example, she pondered the consequences of her decision. He spent hours pondering the question. I often ponder the future. Pondering suggests patience and reflection. It encourages deeper understanding rather than immediate conclusions. Many great ideas begin with thoughtful contemplation. Now, let's explore a powerful verb that appears frequently in discussions of growth: embrace. Embrace can mean to physically hold someone. However, at an advanced level, it often means to accept something fully and willingly. For example, she embraced the opportunity. He learned to embrace change. We should embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. This usage appears frequently in motivational and professional communication. People who embrace change often adapt more successfully. People who embrace learning continue developing throughout life. Now, let's examine a word that has become increasingly important in modern communication: vulnerable. Vulnerable means emotionally open, exposed, or willing to reveal one's true feelings. For example, she spoke with vulnerable honesty. Being vulnerable requires courage. His willingness to be vulnerable strengthened their relationship. Many people mistakenly associate vulnerability with weakness. In reality, vulnerability often requires tremendous strength. It allows people to connect authentically, it builds trust, and it encourages meaningful communication. Now let's connect several of these concepts together. Imagine someone overcoming a difficult period in life. You might describe their journey like this: through reflection, they recollected important lessons from the past. They pondered their experiences and gradually underwent a personal metamorphosis. By embracing vulnerability and transcending fear, they became more compassionate, confident, and self-aware. Notice how advanced vocabulary creates a richer narrative. The story becomes more meaningful and emotionally nuanced. Let's continue with a short reflection. Life is full of moments that feel ineffable, moments that cannot be fully explained. The birth of a child, the beauty of a sunset, the experience of achieving a lifelong dream. Words may try to describe them, but their true meaning often extends beyond language. Some people bring a luminous energy into every room they enter. Others demonstrate benevolence through quiet acts of kindness. Many of life's greatest transformations happen gradually through a process of metamorphosis. We evolve through experience. We transcend limitations. We embrace new possibilities. And along the way, we discover strengths we never knew we possessed. When we take time to recollect the past and ponder the future, we gain perspective. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we create deeper connections. When we remain ardent in our pursuit of growth, we continue moving forward. And when we act with a magnanimous spirit, we leave a positive impact on those around us. This is one of the greatest advantages of advanced vocabulary. It allows us to describe not only events but also meaning, not only actions but also transformation, not only experiences but also wisdom. As your English continues to develop, remember that language is more than communication. It is a tool for understanding yourself, understanding others, and expressing the complexity of human experience. The more precisely you can express those experiences, the more powerful your communication becomes. And that is what true fluency ultimately represents. Not the ability to use difficult words, but the ability to use the right words to express what matters most. As we reach the final stage of this advanced vocabulary journey, it is important to remember something fundamental. True fluency is not measured by the number of words you know. It is measured by your ability to communicate ideas clearly, understand subtle meanings, express emotions accurately, and connect with others authentically. The words in this final section represent qualities that many advanced speakers, writers, leaders, and thinkers use to communicate with depth and wisdom. Let's begin with the adjective introspective. An introspective person spends time examining their own thoughts, emotions, and motivations. For example, she became more introspective after her travels. He has an introspective personality. Writing in a journal encourages introspective thinking. Introspection allows people to understand themselves more deeply. It creates self-awareness, which is often the foundation of personal growth. A related word is retrospective. While introspective focuses on looking inward, retrospective focuses on looking back. For example, the documentary offers a retrospective view of the artist's career. He wrote a retrospective account of his experiences. At the end of each year, I enjoy retrospective reflection. Retrospective thinking helps us learn from experience. By examining the past thoughtfully, we can make wiser decisions in the future. Now let's explore a word associated with emotional strength: stoic. A stoic person remains calm and composed during hardship. For example, she remained stoic despite the challenges. His stoic attitude helped him navigate difficult situations. The leader maintained a stoic calm during the crisis. Being stoic does not mean lacking emotion. It means managing emotions with discipline and maturity. Stoicism encourages resilience, patience, and perspective. Now let's move to a word that every advanced communicator should know: lucid. Lucid means clear, easy to understand, and logical. For example, her explanation was lucid and persuasive. He presented the idea in a lucid manner. The article provides a lucid overview of the topic. Lucidity is valuable because complexity often becomes meaningless without clarity. The most effective communicators are frequently those who can explain difficult ideas simply. Closely related is coherent. Coherent means organized, logical, and connected. For example, the presentation was coherent and engaging. She gave a coherent argument supported by evidence. A coherent structure improves communication. While lucid focuses on clarity, coherent focuses on organization. Strong communication is both lucid and coherent. Now, let's revisit one of the most important concepts in advanced language: nuance. Nuance refers to subtle differences in meaning, tone, feeling, or interpretation. For example, she understood the nuance behind his comment. The translation missed several important nuances. Language is filled with nuance. Advanced speakers recognize that communication is rarely absolute. Meaning often exists between extremes. Understanding nuance helps you communicate more naturally and interpret messages more accurately. Now let's explore candid. Candid means honest, direct, and sincere. For example, she gave candid feedback. I appreciate your candid opinion. The interview was surprisingly candid. Candid communication values honesty while remaining respectful. It creates trust because people know you are speaking genuinely. Let's move to another important quality: tenacity. Tenacity refers to persistence, determination, and the refusal to give up. For example, her tenacity helped her achieve success. He approached every challenge with tenacity. Learning a language requires patience and tenacity. Talent can be valuable, but tenacity often determines long-term success. People who continue despite setbacks eventually achieve results. Closely connected is fortitude. Fortitude refers to courage and strength during difficult circumstances. For example, she faced adversity with remarkable fortitude. Fortitude helped him endure uncertainty. The community demonstrated fortitude after the disaster. While tenacity focuses on persistence, fortitude emphasizes emotional strength. Together, they create a powerful combination. Tenacity helps you keep moving. Fortitude helps you remain strong while doing so. Now, let's examine a valuable learning verb: emulate. To emulate means to imitate positive qualities or behaviors in order to improve yourself. For example, young athletes often emulate successful professionals. She emulated her mentor's discipline and work ethic. Students should emulate effective learning habits. Emulation allows us to learn from excellence. Rather than copying blindly, we study successful examples and adapt useful principles. Another important growth-oriented verb is cultivate. Cultivate means to develop something carefully over time. For example, she cultivated strong communication skills. We should cultivate patience and gratitude. Successful relationships require effort to cultivate. The word originally referred to farming and growing plants. Today, it is often used metaphorically to describe developing skills, habits, values, and relationships. Cultivation requires consistency. Growth rarely happens overnight. Now let's explore immerse. To immerse yourself in something means to become deeply involved in it. For example, she immersed herself in language learning. The researcher immersed himself in the project. To improve rapidly, immerse yourself in English every day. Immersion is one of the most effective learning methods. The more exposure you have, the more naturally language becomes part of your thinking. Now, let's move into vocabulary associated with wisdom and character. One important adjective is enlightened. Enlightened describes someone who possesses deep understanding, wisdom, or awareness. For example, she offered an enlightened perspective on the issue. An enlightened society values education and empathy. His approach became more enlightened over time. Enlightenment is often associated with learning, reflection, and open-mindedness. It suggests growth beyond simple knowledge. Now, let's explore a particularly elegant word. Equanimity. Equanimity refers to emotional balance and calmness, especially during stress or difficulty. For example, she handled criticism with equanimity. Equanimity helped him remain focused during uncertainty. True leadership often requires equanimity. Unlike temporary calmness, equanimity suggests a deeper inner stability. It reflects maturity, self-control, and perspective. Another timeless word is integrity. Integrity means honesty, strong moral principles, and consistency between actions and values. For example, she is respected for her integrity. Integrity builds trust. Success without integrity is ultimately empty. People with integrity do what is right even when nobody is watching. Their actions align with their principles. This consistency creates credibility and respect. Now, let's explore one of the most important human qualities: empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. For example, empathy strengthens relationships. She listened with empathy and compassion. Effective communication requires empathy. Empathy allows us to connect beyond words. It helps us understand perspectives different from our own, and it reminds us that communication is not only about speaking, it is also about listening. Finally, let's examine discernment. Discernment is the ability to make wise judgments and recognize what truly matters. For example, experience improves discernment. She approached the decision with discernment. Discernment helps us separate appearance from reality. In a world full of information, discernment becomes increasingly valuable. It helps us think critically, make better decisions, and communicate more thoughtfully. Now, let's bring everything together. Imagine describing a highly respected leader. You might say, she is an enlightened individual who leads with integrity and empathy. Her communication is lucid, coherent, and candid. She approaches challenges with equanimity, fortitude, and tenacity. Through years of experience, she has cultivated discernment and wisdom. Notice how advanced vocabulary allows you to describe character with precision and depth. Now let's conclude this journey with a final reflection. Language is more than grammar. It is more than vocabulary. It is more than pronunciation. Language is a bridge between thoughts and understanding. Every word you learn expands your ability to express yourself. Every conversation strengthens your confidence. Every mistake teaches a lesson, and every effort moves you closer to mastery. As you continue your journey, be introspective enough to understand yourself. Be retrospective enough to learn from experience. Be stoic enough to remain calm during challenges. Be candid enough to speak honestly. Be empathetic enough to understand others. Be discerning enough to recognize what truly matters. Cultivate knowledge. Cultivate wisdom. Cultivate kindness. Immerse yourself in learning. Emulate excellence. And approach every challenge with tenacity and fortitude. Remember that fluency is not perfection. Fluency is the ability to communicate clearly, naturally, and confidently. It is the ability to express ideas with nuance, to speak with integrity, to listen with empathy, and to connect with people through language. The words you have learned throughout this journey are more than vocabulary. They are tools for thinking, tools for understanding, tools for growth, and most importantly, tools for meaningful communication. Continue reading, continue listening, continue reflecting, continue speaking. Because every day you practice, you become a stronger communicator. Every sentence you create strengthens your voice, and every word you learn expands your world. This is the true path toward advanced English mastery. Not simply learning the language, but learning to use it with clarity, wisdom, confidence, and purpose.